In this video, guys, we're going to look at trading futures, your pre-market preparation. Stay tuned. Hey guys, welcome to your right. So trading futures, slightly different to obviously trading forex, where you've got a 24/5 market, and trading stocks where you've literally got the regular trading hours and that's it. Now, futures are a little bit different. So assuming you're trading, let's say, index futures, you've got the futures contract that's kind of matching the cash during the regular trading hours. So regular trading hours being when the bell goes, for example, New York Stock Exchange, off we go, right until the close. You know, the Dow, the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ, obviously on the NASDAQ exchange, are going to be kind of following the cash market, if you like. And there's a bit of a chicken and egg there, but you know, for all intents and purposes, as stocks are moving up and down, it's going to move the NASDAQ cash price, it's going to move the futures, it's going to move the Dow futures, S&P 500 futures. When they close, the futures contract is purely driven by supply and demand. So it's just where they expect price to be at the open, or what they believe the value of the S&P 500 is at that moment, which is why we often get gaps up, should I say, on stocks. Because futures are saying, okay, you know, something good has happened overnight, stocks have closed, we're going to gap up, you know, 10 handles on the S&P 500, stocks will then gap up accordingly, and then they'll kind of come back in line and match and everything. So there's a distinct different times when you're trading futures, when you're comparing it to some of the other markets. So one of the big things that you might want to do before you start trading is to check for risk events. So what I mean by this is there economic data coming out? Probably you're doing that already, but anything non-farm payrolls, interest rate announcements, jobs numbers, anything that the market is watching. The other thing is there anything like a rollover? So futures will come to the end of an expiry at the end of the month or the quarter or whatever contract you're trading, and they will then roll over to the next before the expiry. So the volume will shift to the next month. So make sure you're trading the front month, the one that's got the most volume. Because that's where the liquidity is, that's where everyone's trading, and if you're speculating, which you are, then that's where you want to be. So just double check that. And also double check that there's no options expire or anything like that. It could just change the way that things work. The other thing is to check the overnight range. So let's say you are trading S&P 500, you're trading Dow, you're trading NASDAQ futures. Look to see what happened after the bell closed, off the closing bell, all the way through to the opening bell. So before the opening bell, you're looking, that's going to span over the Asian session, some of the European session. So you start to see, okay, what's the range? Big range might indicate big move coming up in the regular trading hours. Small range might be not much going on. Of course, there's going to be some indication of the gap, so you can devolve and devise and kind of deduce strategy from that if you've got a gap strategy. But just seeing what's happened overnight. Checking your overnight levels. You know, where did we go to? Did it kind of just stay at a level? Very often overnight kind of pushes and then sort of sticks there and just can't get above a level. You know, might that be a sticking point early on in the day that you can kind of do some business at? Or might it be something to look at later on in the day? Whatever. So you kind of get to think. Another thing, guys, to think about the overnight ranges, especially on something like the S&P 500, the chances of the market touching that high or low of the overnight session are really high. So you start to frame your trade around that, and also the position of where the market might open relative to that overnight range. Check the prior session's action. So what I mean by this is, if you're trading US, the prior session would be Europe. So you go, okay, what happened on the DAX? Did we have some massive opening drive that stalled? Did we have this that did this? So you start to maybe theme the idea from there. Fifth thing is study the current theme, funnily enough. So what's happening with the futures? Are we making an early low in the morning? Is a tendency to kind of push to extremes in the first hour, then consolidate and then do an afternoon drive? Or is it kind of nothing happens, then we get a late move? Just think and look and see exactly what's happening. And quite a nice thing to do with your checklist is to go back and see, you know, is there a theme in the last few days that might continue today, might give me an advantage? A great example is that early drive that fades away. Early low, kind of does it in the first hour, then tends to come back to the VWAP or the open. And so you can position for that. You can say, okay, well, let me see if I can get a reversal pattern in the first hour after an extreme move. Just start to think of the theme. And the last one, guys, is run through your trading checklist. So whilst it makes sense to go through these pre-market prep for futures, check for your risk events, check your overnight range and stuff, which is exclusive to futures, especially overnight range stuff, prior sessions action, running through your own checklist as well. So make sure you add on things that you would always do. You know, am I ready for the trading day? Am I prepared to take the risk? You know, what position size am I doing? What am I working on today as a trader? What sort of setups am I looking for? What am I expecting from the market? Where's my levels? All that kind of stuff. So adding those to the checklist, you know, don't forget to, or don't neglect your checklist, should I say, even though you're trading something completely different. So that's futures, guys. Trading futures, pre-market prep, especially overnight range, something to pay attention to. Anything you've got to add, please feel free to add it in the comment section below. While you're down there, check out our channel sponsor. So link to them in the description below. Take care. Bye-bye.